Hello everyone and welcome back to yet another episode of Buff Breakdown. I don't know how many we've had recently, maybe this is like the 5th one or something. Now this is obviously not tied to the arcade collab event anymore, but regardless, I'm still very happy that we got buffs. Now today they added new welfares into the welfare shop, and with it we got new buffs to many of said welfares. So that's very cool. We knew obviously there was going to be an expansion to the shop today. We didn't know who, and we didn't know if there were going to be buffs, but now we know who, and yes, there indeed were buffs. We got 3 buffs today, okay? First of all, Nobu Archer, she's back and gets a skill buff. Very cool. Brave Liz also gets added into his shop, and she gets an MP buff. It's been a long time since we've seen an MP buff, but there's one. Yeah, let's go. And then finally, also Halloween Liz, aka Caster Liz, is also added to the shop, and she gets a skill buff. I think we're gonna cover Nobu first, and then Brave Liz, and then Halloween. So let's see what we're working with here. It's a buff to Nobu's first skill, which, you know, honestly, basically all of her skills, in my opinion, could be buffed. But you know what? It's a great start that we got at least something. So the skill used to be just an AoE 30% MP gain for 3 turns for the whole squad on a 6-turn cooldown. Pretty underwhelming nowadays. Again, you can go listen to my detailed, talk about Nobu Archer and the Archer tier list, but yeah, this skill, kinda bad, especially on a DPS. Would be better on a support. But now we got Nobu Tactics. They added 2 new effects. So the MP generation stays at 30%, but we got 2 new effects, and they're also AoE both. So now the team also gets 20% Buster up for 3 turns, and 20% MP damage for 3 turns. Now, not only is it nice that it's AoE, obviously, because, you know, that makes the skill pretty damn good on 6-turn cooldown now. Like, now it's actually legit good skill. But it's very nice that it's also 2 damaging buffs for Nobu herself, because, man, again, besides her having, like, some niches in the MP and then this skill, there really was 0 damage to help with the MP. The crit skill is still okay and whatnot, but there was nothing to really always help with the MP. That's why the MP a lot of times did like 0 damage. So with this, at least you get a nice mixed buff of 40% effectiveness, which definitely you'll be able to feel that. Now, obviously the other thing that Nobu Archer still lacking is a battery, and because she happens to have an AoE MP, I do think it really hampers her. It sounds like a lame buff, but I really think she does need a battery still. Because as is, I think this doesn't really solve the big issue with Nobu. She's definitely going to be better after this. No one's going to argue that, but I don't know, man. I just feel like there really isn't a concise, good spot for her in the game. I feel like she should be a farmer, but as is, she's like a DPS that has some utility for your team as well. Otherwise, you know, I don't think it's a great skill, don't get me wrong now. It's good. This could be easily on an SSR as well, honestly, nowadays, but I don't know if it really even will change too much. So on the Archer tier list, I had her basically with the, you know, lowest stuff. We might even play Takasugi someday, not today, by the way, but yeah, maybe she could be moved to like C+, I think, because at least now she will be able to do more MP damage herself, which again used to be very lackluster if you're not hitting those niches. So maybe even a C, honestly. It's not going to be a huge bump, if anything. Maybe still a C. Just that, like, yeah, I don't think she has, like, the best role in the game yet, honestly. It's a good start, though. And now that she's, again, permanently in the shop, she's totally open for more buffs in the future, in my opinion. So here's hoping maybe give her, like, a cheeky 30% battery and some other cool stuff as well. Maybe stars per turn to go with the crits as well. There's definitely more room for improvement. So, there you go. Nobu Archer has a great skill now, but really won't solve the big picture. Let's talk about Brave Liz's MP buff next. And again, it's an MP buff, very cool, because these are really rare these days. They mostly just buff skills. So let's see what we got. Remember, they did buff the 3rd skill when they added her in the Mega Rerun thingy, but in my opinion, it's still a meme. But let's see what the MP gets. The one fun thing is that it's now a rank V MP. That's the one thing that I think is the coolest thing about this buff. Maybe that's a spoiler on how I actually feel about the buff, but yeah, it's not B, it's not A, it's not EX, it's V. The rank is V. And in Japanese V mode, you see, if you write a Roman V, it usually translates to victory. So maybe that's what the intention is. But yeah, she now has a V rank MP. There it is. Screw parameters. We're going V mode. So what did they do? They added the standard damage buff, and the only thing that changed besides that is that they added a burn amp. Now, it is a better amp. It's a 200% amp instead of a 100% amp, and it lasts for 5 turns instead of like 3 turns. So, of all the amps in the game, it's definitely on the good side. But really, it just doesn't... It's still not gonna be legit. That's the problem. So, unless they fix dots in the future, it's still not gonna do really anything. Now, again, it's really great that they buffed the MP, though, because, again, she's a free MP 5, so everyone gets a nice boost of damage from this. But that's about it. It's just a small little, like, bump in damage. And besides that, she still has so many other problems, and because there's so many permanent 4-star sabers that you buy. Even after this, you might still pick over her on lower MP levels. I don't really see this making a big change. If anything, I think she could be buffed like next to Rama or something. Maybe even C+, but I feel like I'm just gonna leave her there. So yeah, it's nice, obviously, but I wish they did something more besides, say, burn amp on the MP. Something cool, like a 3-turn buster buff before damage or something. She really needed more than this, but... oh, well... I mean, she honestly could still be here as well, but I feel like a free MP5 with the MP buff is still worth something. Alright, let's talk about the big beast next then, which is gonna be Halloween Liz, Caster Liz's buff. They basically changed everything in this skill, either increased the values or added new stuff. And I can already tell you, this skill now is actually amazing, but how big of an impact will it have? Not that big in my opinion. So we'll see. Well, first of all, I have to explain how the skill works. So we got Halloween Star EX now. So now the stars per turn has been up to 20 stars per turn, first of all. Now that's on 3 turns, and the cooldown is 5 turns. So that already makes the skill really good, okay? So that alone is already a great change. They increased the self-heal to 3k. Cool. And then we get all the new stuff, right? So first of all, it has a it removes one latest removable buff from all enemies, and then if it's successful, it applies a special kind of crit chance down, which is titled Happy Halloween, for 3 turns on them, and it's a 10% crit chance. It's basically crit chance down, but it's like a special. You know how like Summer Kiara has her special debuff, which is the same thing, right? It's just a different name. This is basically the same thing here. So it really matters because the second part of the skill. But yeah, if you remove a buff, 3 turns of 10% crit chance down on all the enemies. Cool. Now, then, after that check is done, she herself gets 20% battery based on all enemies that do have that crit chance down, the special one, not just any one. It would be really much better if it was any crit chance down, but it has to be her own version that comes from the buff removal, right? So if with 3 enemies, she can get max 60% gauge with this skill, but really that won't be realistic because you have to remove a buff from all 3 enemies in that case, and in most cases I don't think it's that realistic. So honestly, I don't think the new stuff they added is all that significant. It's cool, the utility is nice, but I feel like the best thing is them upping the numbers of the existing effects, mainly the stars per turn being 20 now. So that's really, really good. It won't work with debuff immune, I guess. It does actually. Well, actually, no, it doesn't. The removal does, but the I don't think the Happy Halloween will land on debuff immune. So yeah, you get like half of it. So you still don't get the battery, you still don't get the crit chance down. But yeah, you do get that, I suppose. I mean, honestly, on a 5-turn cooldown, it's still a really, really good skill. But it's much like Nobu, in my opinion, that it won't really suddenly solve her issues. Her main issue is that she wants to be a farmer like Nobu as well, but she is not a farmer. Her 30% battery is on a 7-turn cooldown, and her MP does pretty abysmal damage as well. So, it's just, like, again, both Nobu and Caster Liz now have great skills, but it's just, I still don't really think it's gonna make them suddenly super playable, just because these skills are now good. Now, on the caster tier list, let's see, I probably had her pretty low. Yeah, I had her in a C. I guess we can move her next to Nursery now, sure. But again, it's a great skill, but maybe a bit misplaced if anything, so... Yeah, it's alright. It's just alright, you know? Like, you can use her, but just don't expect, like, amazing things. At least now she generates stars pretty well. But you have a lot of options for that anyway nowadays. There you go. So, while these 3 buffs are not the craziest or most account-changing buffs ever, certainly makes all 3 of these servants better. But I don't think any of them in particular will suddenly see a huge influx in usability. Not a single one of them. But it is a good direction. And again, now that they're permanently in the welfare shop, I still think there is hope that they could absolutely buff some of these, or all of them, again, at some point. So, overall, I'm still happy to see that they are definitely a very buff happy right now, which is awesome to see. Again, not as big as, let's say, the previous one with the Mordred buff and the other stuff that was kind of crazy, but certainly, hey, for all the people that are big Nobu fans, first of all, now you can finally get her again after, like, what, 6 years since the rerun or something. That's great already, and then when you can get her, you can have a better copy with this, so, there you go. Enjoy, I guess. So with that, if you enjoyed this video, do be a solid and press the thumbs up button, okay? Again, I will keep doing these day one whenever new buffs drop. If I'm streaming, I'll do them live on stream. If not, I'll definitely do them offline, though. So if you want to see more, hit the subscribe button. Definitely don't miss out on future ones and other fun content as well. I am definitely still grinding content, so look forward to seeing you in the next video. And I hope you have a great day.